Hi, and welcome to our SAP TechEd 2024 in a nutshell recap session. It's your one-stop shop for those who may not have had time to watch the full two-day virtual event last week, or maybe those who just want a highlights and updates recap, and maybe want to get an overview of what to look out for in the future. Our experts that you see in front of you have spent a chunk of their last week tuning into the sessions and filling their brains with the latest updates and knowledge on all things SAP, and they are ready to share the most important highlights with you guys today. So on our expert panel, let me introduce you to Gregory Dukas, our SAP technology lead at Trifork, sitting in our Barcelona office. Asier Vega, Director of SAP Solutions, also at Trifork, sitting in Copenhagen, as well as Juan Duque, our SAP BTP Platform and Integration Architect from our newest family member, Sapir. Welcome, gentlemen, and great to have you here today.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so I think we should just dive in. That's what we're here for, and I'm going to start with you, Asier. What is your overall feeling of TechEd this year?
Yes, well, as you said, I spent a chunk of hours in the last days watching videos from TechEd. It was super interesting. It has been, for me, one of the most interesting TechEds of the last years since it has been online. It has been interesting to see how SAP has positioned some products against others, and how the evolution of mature products has come to play in this TechEd. We see a lot of new products taking a lot of time on the explanation, whereas traditional products, they have been down prioritized in this TechEd, which tells us the priorities of SAP. And a very, very good example, 2-3 years ago, SAP spent a lot of time describing DataSphere, describing integration suite. And now this year we see significantly less time spent on videos around these two topics, which tells us that SAP is maturing in some products and innovating in some others. So definitely it has been a very interesting time.
Okay, interesting trajectory from SAP. What would you say are the most exciting announcements, though, from TechEd 2024?
Yes, for me personally, that I like the AI topic a lot. The knowledge graph has been probably the most significant one, because it can really take the AI world in the SAP space to a new level in a much easier way. Therefore, the companies should be able to build business cases to create AI solutions a lot better. And then the rest of the solutions that we have seen, they are mostly evolutions of the already existing announcements from other years.
Thank you. And I know you said this was your personal opinion, so just quickly looking at the other two, would you guys agree to what Asier just said on the most exciting announcement?
Yes, definitely. Knowledge graphs has been one of the big ones. Joule, of course, a lot of updates there. So we'll see how these things turn out in the coming years.
Perfect. And we'll dive into those topics a little later in this session. But before we jump into the different tracks, were there any standout sessions or speakers or demos that left you a strong impression on you, Asier?
Yes, I actually have a favorite one. It's a session called AI One-on-One. It's an introduction to the AI offerings. And I'm a very big fan of Philip, the Chief AI Officer in SAP. He's a great communicator, and I think his vision is very, very powerful.
Okay. Exciting. Looking forward to hearing more about that. All right, Monsieur Duque, let's look and start at the heart of BTP when we go down to the different tracks, which is integration. Was there anything new that resonated with you? And if so, why?
Yes, thank you. Definitely integration played a little bit less important role than in previous years. And I think I will attribute that, agreeing with what Asier said, is that integration suite as a whole has become a mature product, where all the functionality and roadmaps is more about the operational side, the stability side, and closing the smaller gaps on functionality that it might have. But the sparkles definitely come into all AI-related topics. If I could say something that was new for me in the integration area, and also a little bit evolving to the governance area and the platform itself, was the push to do more and functionality of a SAP Cloud ALM, the application lifecycle management offering that SAP has, right? Definitely, there's a push towards what can you do with that on connecting to the all other services and applications? What's the role that that has in your operations? What the role that it has in actually innovation? How do you develop running DevOps operations, running solution application lifecycle management? So that I also found that interesting on my area.
Thank you very much. But staying on the integration suite topic, do you think that it's finally mature enough for all customers to start using and embracing?
I wouldn't say finally. I would say that maybe if you reach that point 3.5, 4 years ago, I think that soon after they dropped the Neo platform and start moving into Cloud Foundry, definitely that product become an enterprise grade on terms of stability of the product, in terms of functionality of the product. We've been working with it over the last 6 years, almost exclusively building integration with the integration suite. And we have run both orchestration level integration, the data-driven integration that has a size both in volume and performance requirements for the tool, and the tool has responded to it, right? So I will say that as a tool itself, it's very mature. It is where we want it to be. And main things that have come now on part of TechEd, I will say that, for example, there's a big push towards migration towards integration suite out of on-premise SAP NetWeaver applications, for example, SAP PO, process orchestration, how to take that migration forward. That's another big topic about integration cell, which is running these integration payloads on your on-premise application, something that a lot of customers are actually been waiting for to actually see how that plays on their application-to-application integration. It was very good to see how this will integrate almost seamlessly on their current application, both from the development side, both from the operational side, and some new features that for the ones that do integration that I found it really attractive. For example, when you can blend both API policies and integration flows on the same object, and that's a feature that comes on towards this new integration cell architecture that they are proposing itself. The last topic that I found very interesting is the release of more and more event-driven integration patterns. That's definitely something that we work together with Greg a lot and do event-driven architecture for our solutions, and AI event-driven integration patterns is definitely something that we are going to move more and more towards in our current solutions that we have. On terms of what else will be integration, definitely there was a lot of new functionality on Cloud ALM for integration suite. That was interesting to see how not only from the operations and visibility on your messaging, on the status of your processes, but also on how do you want to manage your projects, right? How do you want to run, if you're running DevOps, the whole aspect of running agile and the features, how to transfer features into product that you're going to deliver on the integration side, on the application side, transport of these items together. That I spent a lot of time on actually looking how it's meant to work. Continuous integration, how does the integration track actually blends into continuous integration, continuous delivery. That is a topic for coding of solutions, and it's very used on application development. That I put a lot of interest on this topic.
Thank you. And actually, speaking of ALM, can you elaborate on the role of SAP Cloud ALM in managing transportation processes within SAP BTP? How it compares to traditional ALM methods?
Yeah. So what I foresee is that all the functionality that was previously provided by different services, for example, managing of integration through pipelines in the continuous integration and continuous delivery service itself, transportation management driven by cloud TMS, operation visibility is kind of to be grouped together or embedded together. So before it was a technical solution, a technical aspect that you will configure these services independently and then try to make the best out of it. Now Cloud LM is offering you an umbrella to do your application development, take the development through the product lifecycle or running your iterations, transfer between your systems, and then afterwards operate and run. Right. So everything comes as a portal of your delivery, all the value that you want to deliver to your organization. It's meant to be the portal of that. So it's definitely a plus to see that things are being centralized into one point, which allows, I would say, an homogeneous delivery process for organizations.
Fantastic. Okay. We'll move on actually to the SAP BTP platform now, actually, and we're going to be looking at you, Gregory. Hi.
Hello.
We've heard a lot. Thank you, by the way, Juan. We heard a lot about SAP Build this year, but what's all the fuss about?
What's all the fuss about? Well, the biggest announcements that we got from SAP Build Cloud, or one of the big ones, was the inclusion of ABAP. To be honest, I think it was a bit hyped up, a bit too much. The reality is that we're just seeing you can now create ABAP cloud projects through the SAP Build lobby. And from there, when you open the project, it just launches into the normal development environment that you're used to. But what this does mean is that now you have a single lobby where you can create all your development SAP projects. So you can do JavaScript, TypeScript, Java, ABAP, the new one, the automation projects, and of course the low code, no code. So SAP is really pushing SAP Build Code or SAP Build as the central stop for all your development needs. And one of the other new things that we saw in the space is this S/4HANA Cloud Extension Wizard, which now allows you to, with SAP Build and directly to S/4HANA, you can start adding custom fields and logic and maintaining the context of the application. So directly within the application, you're launching it to build SAP Build and build code, and it's generating a lot of the code for you in order to accelerate your developments. If you want to see more about this, you can watch AD 102, where they have a nice demo of how this extension wizard works in practice.
Fantastic. Thank you. You mentioned ABAP. I thought this was a dying language. Well, what are your thoughts?
No, ABAP is not dying. ABAP is alive and well, and definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. Firstly, ABAP remains crucial for on-stack developments, adhering to clean core principles. And now with ABAP Cloud, we also allows for side-by-side extensions. At this TechEd, same as last TechEd, we saw the commitment from SAP into the ABAP stack, especially now with Joule. We saw a glimpse of Joule in ABAP last year, and this year they've doubled down on that. Joule has been trained with over 150 million lines of ABAP code, allowing for high-quality ABAP code to be generated, and of course adhering to clean core principles every step of the way. So yes, ABAP is here to stay. It will be fundamental for your SAP development projects in the future, and definitely not going anywhere.
So keep your ABAP developers.
I would say that's the reason why it's not about keeping your ABAP developers. Is the fact that in the next coming years, if you want to approach innovation in your organization, you're going to need to scale up on the ability to deliver solutions, and you cannot scale up only on a single stack. You need to use all the capacity that you have internally or externally, your suppliers, experts on ABAP. You need to use all the new wave or coming open source driven development that comes from Node.js, from Java. So it's definitely about scaling up the innovation capacity that you will have, right? That's definitely about why do we keep ABAP on the track?
Of course, and I mean, ABAP will always be fundamental in core extensions. So on-stack extensions will always be there. If you need to extend an API, or you need to create a new API, that will always be ABAP, or at least for the foreseeable future. And as you said, if you have an army of ABAPers in your company, you can now also use ABAP Cloud to get these enhancements or side-by-side extensions going. But the future of development is hybrid, so it's using the best of each world. So using ABAP on stack to build some of the enhancements, and of course using then maybe CAP and JavaScript or Java to do some of the newer, sexy stuff that maybe hasn't reached ABAP yet. So yes, it's very interesting times and very important to use the best language for the job.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to move on to Build Code and Joule. Gregory, can you tell us some updates on that? And is Build Code a mature enough development platform at this stage?
Well, this is a topic close to my heart. I've written a few blogs about this year. So yes, I was looking at this very closely this year at SAP TechEd, and it did showcase some very new, exciting additions with Joule and AI code capabilities in Build Code. Firstly, you have code explanation now. You have code completion, business object generation, and unit test generation. So what does that mean? Like some other copilots, now you can within text you can explain your code, so you can highlight it and tell it, okay, what is going on here, and it will explain what's going on. And you can do inline code completion, where before it was actually asking Joule on the side. Now it should be able to help you write the code as you're going along. Finally, a big one for me, good documentation search. So Joule can actually go through the mountains of documents available in SAP Help and SAP Community, and actually give you the solution or look at these documents for you and answer your questions with more context. Where before it was looking at the whole wide web and a lot of the answers were mix and matched. Now you're actually getting a lot more relevant information. On the process automation side, Joule again has been integrated here. It allows you to, using natural language, you can describe what process you want to automate, and it will generate or edit existing process flows. And finally, another big one for me personally, we're finally going to see Joule coming to VS Code. So local development with Joule. So I'm eagerly awaiting its arrival to see what that means. But to answer your question, is it mature enough? Time will tell, as always. I'm very much looking forward to trying these features out and maybe writing another blog about it, and we'll see how it goes.
Greg,
I just have
Yes.
to, yes, exactly.
I had a question. It's very interesting regarding SAP Build Code. My interpretation was a tool directed to citizen developers and to business maybe, but it looks like it's actually going into a direction for pro coders as well, right? Do you see it that you yourself as a pro coder using more and more of that?
So SAP Build Apps is specifically the low-code, no-code offering with process automation. The SAP Build Code is effectively, or how I called it in the past, is business application studio on steroids. Because it has Joule integrated and allows you to accelerate your developments for pro code developer to accelerate your developments and help you along the way. So it's what SAP is trying to do is break down these barriers of entry for new developers. As you can imagine, when you first start in the SAP world, even if you come from Node.js and you're an avid Node.js developer, Java developer, when you hear the SAP stuff and you read the SAP documentation, it sounds Greek to you. And I should know because I'm Greek. But it's SAP is trying to help you jump that bridge quite easily by using these tools like Joule to explain these things for you and just let the developers do what they do, which is develop and write code, and not worry too much about the framework stuff and how to structure everything together. Personally, I still prefer local development, so I use VS Code, and that's why for me, seeing Joule arriving on local VS Code was very exciting. But I do keep a close eye in Build Code and Joule, and for new developers, I actually recommend it in many cases because it helps them bridge that gap.
Cool, thanks.
And thank you, Juan, for your question. Gregory, do you know when yet some of these new updates will be released? Side question. Sorry if you don't know.
Most of them are arriving Q1 2025. So yeah, so I think Q1 2025 is the safer one to say. Some things are arriving already in Q4 of 2024, but depending on what it is, they're arriving at different times. And we know SAP. Sometimes it's not Q1, it might be Q2, but we'll see. We'll let you know about these dates when we hear about them.
Fantastic, and we'll also make sure we get a write-up on them too.
Yes.
And since we're already talking Joule and AI, let's jump into that track, the AI one. Any major announcements in this space, Gregory?
Yes, I see already made mention of it. SAP HANA Knowledge Graph solution. Firstly, what is a knowledge graph? So it's quite a technical thing, but in very simple terms, it's allowing you to create nodes or piece of information and relationship between this piece of information. So what SAP has promised in Q1 of 2025, this is a solution on top of SAP DataSphere, and that it will provide you a collection of mappings and relationships between SAP data objects. So it's a pre-built engine, you want to call it that, or database of SAP objects and how they're related. For example, purchase orders and invoices and customers, how all these things come together. What does this mean? This means that you can now use, well, in Q1 2025, hopefully use Joule to infer meaning from data, where before you would have to have a data scientist or someone to do some data modeling for you. SAP Joule and this knowledge graph would be able to do these relationships for you and find meaning where you wouldn't be able to see this clearly before. So yes, it's exciting. We didn't see necessarily a direct demo on it. So I'm looking forward very much to see what it really means in 2025. And I think it would be an exciting space.
Exactly. And figuring out how to implement it in a business case as well, like to use it for your everyday.
Always, yes.
Always. In your humble opinion, Gregory, specifically on Joule and business AI, how has it matured over the past year, do you think?
Quite a bit. SAP has done a big push. We saw a post the other day that it's reached over 80% coverage of SAP workflows with over 600 skills. The promise being, this is across the lines of business of SAP. The promise is to take this to 100% coverage in 2025, and I believe 1,200 skills, so to double that. We saw multiple demonstrations of Joule in action across the lines of business. So, yeah, and I strongly recommend watching the second half of the main keynote where they actually demo a lot of these integration points. We also saw Joule in SAP WorkZone. So if you have WorkZone Basic Edition, Joule will now become an option over there. And SAP Mobile Start, which is the mobile solution for WorkZone in a way, that's also getting Joule integration. Of course, now with Joule Agents and Joule Studio, this becomes exciting because it allows you to do some custom integrations between your applications and Joule. So it's an exciting space.
Actually, that was going to be my next question. I've heard a lot from you guys and also the talk on the town, these Joule agents. Can you break this down for us?
Yes, of course. Agents seems to be the new buzzword in town in the AI space. Everything is moving agentic. What this means is instead of having one big supercomputer, if you want to call it that, or one LLM doing everything, you break the task down into autonomous agents, and these have a specific task that they can do and solve a specific problem. And you put these together and managed by something like Joule, and then you can achieve complex tasks. So each one doing the individual specific task, you can achieve a bigger complex business process. So yes, it's an exciting space, more exciting. So SAP, of course, will be building a lot of these agents for us in the existing solutions. But what is also exciting is Joule Studio, which I believe they also said Q4 or Q1, I think, Q1 of 2025, will have a low-code, no-code offering where we as developers will be able to build our own agents, and we can string together how these agents can actually integrate with our own custom applications in order to provide context to Joule going forward. So definitely exciting. And
exciting, and yeah. They're not here to take over our jobs yet, if they all get together, these AI agents?
Not yet. If anything, they're creating more jobs for us.
We like that.
Yes.
Super. Thank you, Gregory. The next question might actually be directed at you, Juan, because it's back on the integration space. But is there a new AI in the integration ecosystem?
Yeah, I would say that AI is the main topic on everything, right? Not only what we do on our professional lives, in your personal lives. I think that it's everything. I think that if you compare AI to other trends or topics that have come before, there's real use cases. And I think that's the key challenge about companies that actually finding those use cases of where to apply AI. In the integration area, you can see that there's also some impact there by the fact that the main integration roadmap session is not called SAP Integration Roadmap. It's called Innovate with a Modern AI-Assisted Suite, Integration Suite, right? IN100. If you want to know what the roadmap, that's the session that you want to go, and it was in part of the AI track. What in integration suite we see, right? There's a little bit of innovation on terms of automated creation of integration flows. As a developer, I see that as a far-fetched case that you can describe what integration you want and that solution will be created. But it's definitely an interesting use case, right? This is like a showcase, like look at what we can do. That was interesting. What there's really a lot of, I would say, potential is on using AI for operations and for code inspection. We saw in the demo that actually on your running system, all your messages and transactions that are being run can be analyzed by an intelligent agent and find patterns where there's going to be peaks on memory consumption, on CPU consumption, and out of the patterns identify your integrations that actually might have some areas of optimization on the code or on the logic that you're having in. And not only that, dragging or digging into the specific integration and then look into the code of the integration and propose possible optimizations on the code or the logic that you are writing. That I thought it was a very powerful concept, right? There was some demo around it, some brief looks on how it would look. I really want to see that because that actually is a real use case that can be done. When we talk about AI, we also talk about automation. So I will call that probably is a segment of what we call AI, but it's more about a control directed set. You put some rules, you expect a result. There's definitely a lot of automation on terms to migration from the legacy system into integration suite. I think that that's a big topic, not only for the actual technical migration, but also for aspects on creating documentation on the process and helping you having an overview on the process itself. I will say that in this migration area, that's definitely something that I wish to have been a little bit more emphasis on TechEd. Because there's a lot of customers that will have to approach it and will have to see what are they going to do with the legacy systems, how it is an interesting challenge to address in the coming years. So something that I was glad is that there's a new license, a new basic license on Integration Suite. Integration Suite is not one of the most expensive subscription-based products in the offerings that BTP has. So that was interesting to see that actually there's a license model that is actually approachable for those customers that have SAP PO with a use case of only middleware integration, right? They are maybe not too interested on doing a lot of more event architecture or maybe scope what your integration really is. This is the way to actually start, not with a high cost on it, but actually to start with a controlled cost scenario for your employee. So definitely that was interesting for me, and I would like to see some more of that. Sadly, the AI topics and touch, they're not part of that, right? There's still a part of the premium version of integration suite. So that's my take on AI now.
You raise an interesting bell in my head where the AI is being the positioning AI also to help you for the migration, and that's actually one of the reasons that they've pushed very hard in terms of getting Joule trained up in ABAP, because now ABAP or Joule can explain your legacy ABAP code and help you migrate that into a cleaner version of ABAP, or into an alternative solution. So another way where AI can actually help you in your migration and your clean core processes going forward.
Super.
Definitely.
Thanks for tag teaming on that, guys, and also things to keep in mind. I think we should wrap up the AI topic, even though it's a very hot and interesting one. But just quickly back to you, Gregory. If we take it from the tech side to more the business side, what can companies expect in terms of new AI functionalities or tools to help them further accelerate digital transformation?
So yes, I already mentioned Joule Studio, which will allow you to start building your own agents, which means you can actually now bring your custom processes and your custom logic into Joule. So it's not just standard SAP processes anymore. You can actually use Joule for your purposes. Another one that was actually a bit of a hidden nugget, they actually showcased it at the keynote, but I didn't see much more about it. It's the AI toolkit for HANA Cloud. So HANA Cloud has always had an AI component inside it, and which some people have used, some people have not. They find it too complicated. What they've done now with Joule is actually to bring that complexity, or simplify the complexity, and allow you to leverage this HANA Cloud capability, AI HANA Cloud capability, directly from your build code workspace. And we saw a nice demo where they actually had a bunch of data, and they were able to then ask Joule to create a time series and a model for it, and derive some insights. And at the end of it, actually tell it to generate SAP CAP artifacts that you could deploy in HANA Cloud, and actually to realize this data model for you, which is quite powerful, because in the past you would have to go to a data scientist or something to do this for you. Now Joule can try and take this place. Of course, it was just a demo. The proof is in the pudding, and we'll look out for that.
For sure.
We also saw a lot of new LLMs coming into the AI core. A very important one for our European customers is Mistral AI, which you can host 100% on European infrastructure, and that's quite exciting. I think it's available immediately. We also got the SAP AI Core SDK. Again, SAP, expanding the reach of these SDKs across all the languages. So now you can use it in Python, JavaScript, Java. So yes, making AI accessible to as many people as possible.
Yep. And that was also very technical, like very focused on the technical updates. But SAP is also pushing the agenda on governance and enterprise architecture. So Asia, can you maybe elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, there's in TechEd, there's always a lot of new content about the new technologies and new products, new stuff that will help us do a lot of cool developments. But all this has to be organized in some way, organized and orchestrated. Companies cannot just go and everybody jump on SAP Build, everybody jump on SAP AI. It has to be orchestrated. And in that sense, SAP is moving away from the very old school solution manager into a suite of products that will help on strategizing, on designing to a low level of detail the processes, then build the processes or develop them, execute them in the ERP, and then push on the adoption of the internal users. So this landscape of the overall strategy and execution of solutions, it's covered by LeanIX as the strategy, as the enterprise tool for strategizing on our enterprise architecture. SAP Signavio as the place where we will design in detail the processes that we're going to implement, and then later we will monitor the execution of those. We have BTP, SAP Build, Integration Suite, all of these cool products to develop and extend our solutions, the line of business products, S4HANA, etc. And something that they also mentioned in TechEd is SAP WorkMe, which is basically a platform to push the adoption of new solutions into the company, some sort of onboarding solution. And through this ecosystem, companies will be able to strategize, design, orchestrate their processes and enterprise architecture. It's super cool. The key here will be how easy it is to integrate all these concepts, because if they're going to be standalone solutions, if they're going to be isolated silos of information, then we might see the value is not too much. So SAP has to explain us carefully how all this ecosystem is going to work together.
Is that something companies can already start doing now?
Yes, definitely. Lean IX has been there for a while.
Yes.
SAP Signavio is getting a big push from SAP, and they are investing a lot as one of their key tools. We see BTP, AI. So definitely, this is a very interesting area to explore by IT directors and enterprise architects.
Sorry if this is a bit cheeky, but would you say it's about time?
It's about time. It's about time. Yes,
Sounds like
especially if one is thinking about moving away from solution manager. This is really a good time.
very cool. I think we have spoken, we promised the highlights and we've given the highlights, but we've still spoken about a lot of different things today, gentlemen. So I think it'd be great to do, looking ahead, looking at the future, and also a recap of the most important points. So while I still have you, Asier, what would you say are the defining conclusions of this year's TechEd?
Well, we have talked about integration. We have talked about SAP Build, about AI, about digital transformation. So our summary here is there are some products that they are more mature than others, like Integration Suite, and it's super exciting because we see that many companies are adopting it because it brings real value. And then we have the whole BTP part, where 2 years ago the community was a bit skeptical about everything that could be done, and now a bit of last year, but especially this year, we see things turning into reality. Being we have them in our hands, we can use them, we can touch them. We see already companies using BTP tools that, again, 2 years ago they were a bit like, what is this on the SAP space? On the AI part, super exciting. Same story. Many couple of years ago, this was new. Nobody had much faith on SAP AI, but we see that it's turning into a reality. And not only that, but we have high hopes that by Q1 next year, we will be able to talk to companies more about AI, because the tools that SAP is bringing are going to simplify the development and the creation of AI solutions. Because we will be able to generate much better business cases because the tools simplify this process.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff. I hope SAP delivers on time and according to the expectations. On digital transformation, we just mentioned it. It's super interesting, the whole ecosystem that the SAP is proposing with Lean IX, Signavio, BTP, S4HANA, the line of business solutions, and WalkMe. If they integrate this well, they will be probably very successful. And I think our overall conclusion is that despite all these new things, companies should not fear FOMO. They should not fear of missing out. SAP is trying to become innovative. So now SAP is catering from operations, from ABAP, from Fiori, and is catering all the way to the innovation layer. 5 years ago, if we would go to a TechEd, it would be very homogeneous. It would mostly be ABAP, Gateway, and some integration topics, some Power BI, but more or less everything in the same technology stack. And now SAP is turning into an innovative company, and therefore is bringing potential solutions for many problems. But it doesn't mean that we have to jump into all of it like crazy. It has to be in an organized and orchestrated manner.
Thank you.
Just to echo your sentiment there, Asier, the company shouldn't be scared because everything is AI and sometimes it looks far-fetched. I think what is important to also remember is that all of these are underpinned by the base, which is a strong platform, the BTP platform, and let's just keep maturing over the years. So a lot of new things, or not necessarily new things, but improvements on the platform have taken place over the past year, which don't make the headlines, but has allowed BTP and the stacks behind it, Cloud Foundry, Kyma, Integration Suite in general, to become more mature. And there's no reason then, like today, to jump into the space and start thinking about building your solutions here. SAP is also pushing very hard this reference architectures that they are pushing. At Trifork, we also have our set of reference architectures that we like to talk about with customers, which is not about AI necessarily or about any of some of these scary concepts. It's just fundamental basics, how to do good architectures in the cloud and integrating it with your on-prem system. So customers should remember that it's not just about AI, and they shouldn't be scared. It's about taking the first step into the space, and we can then start talking about the cool, exciting, maybe scary stuff down the line.
Thank you. Did you or would you like to add anything, Juan, before we wrap up this session?
Yeah, as Asier was thinking, was saying this, I was thinking something that we had a presentation in Copenhagen a couple of weeks ago. We were talking with people and talking about adoption of BTP and migration into solutions and integration into BTP. And I said that it is a good time to be a technical consultant in the SAP domain. It's a good time to be a backend developer. It's a good time to be an integration developer, because all this innovation that SAP is proposing, the foundation for it to succeed is to have a solid foundation of your data exposure, of your process exposure, of your orchestration across the systems. So that for me, it's the big take, like, okay, now let all of this innovation float. Let all the smart people think about what can I do with my processes, what can I do this, and let us bring up that data and that process accessibility for actually allowing that innovation to scale up and to be sustained. So for me, it was a big, okay, things are good, right? It's going to be very interesting the next 3 years. We're doing the phasing out of the NetWeaver. It's happening to see, and I can't wait to be in 2026. 2028, and start working with the customers that are fully on innovation platforms, right? They're modern backend ERP with a modern set of tools, managing multi-cloud landscape. So that's what I take out of it. Like, it is exciting, right? We're in the right spot right now.
The sweet spot. And I feel like that's a perfect note to end on. Very positive and uplifting and very future forward looking. So with that, I just want to wrap up and say thank you very much to our panel of experts. That's you three, and to those of you who watched this. If you have any questions at all, whether it's on integration or BTP or in general AI and digital transformation topics, please reach out. Contact details will be shared, and we are here and we are ready to jump into the future with you, as they say. So thank you very much again, and wishing you a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you, Georgiana. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.